I'm good at my job, I'll get it all back out in the end. So now I'll dump all of this into the top of the grizzly. Now, we're reusing the same dirt, so it's a little wet, so I'm just gonna wash all the rest of the dirt into the top of the rocker box to make sure there's no gold stuck inside the cold pan. There we go. So now when I begin to use the rocker box, I'll first use very quick short motions, and that's going to get the gold to sink straight into the corners of the riffles. And then after that, I'll use longer, slower motions that will get the water really sloshing around so that it carries all the lighter rocks and dirt over the riffles and out of the bottom of the rocker box. A lot of the dirt is accumulating into the riffles at the bottom. So now I'll use the longer, slower motions to get rid of some of that extra dirt and rock. That should be good. So now we'll pull up the apron here. You can see there's still a bit of dirt left. You can also see that the gold has accumulated there in the top. So now I'm just going to put all this into my gold pan and get the last bits of gold out by themselves. So I'll do that in this basin over here. Normally they'd have about 3 people working the rocker box at a time. So one person would keep loading pay dirt into the top, another person would be rocking it, and another person would keep loading water into the top. And they do this all day long until the apron was nice and full of gold. So now I'll just make sure that the edge of the apron is right above my gold pan, because we know that gold is 19 times heavier than water, so it's going straight down once it reaches the edge of the gold pan. So even if the water splashes beyond the boundaries of the gold pan, it's not going to be able to carry the gold very far, since gold is so heavy. And the reason we wash it out with water instead of using an item such as a spoon to scoop everything out is because sometimes a spoon, for example, would accidentally lodge some of the flakes underneath the riffles. And you don't want that to happen because then they get stuck. So water helps avoid this. It's not perfect, and it will sometimes accidentally lodge flakes underneath the riffles. So at the end of this season, the miners, they would burn down their entire rocker box and then pan the ashes to make sure that they got every last little bit of gold out of their rocker box. Okay. See one little piece of gold stuck in the bottom. And I think that's everything. I'll put this back into the rocker box and I'll pan for the rest of the gold. works the exact same way that the rocker box does. With a bit of water and movement, you get all of the dirt and gold to settle into one corner of the pan, and then you keep shaking it around, and that gets the gold to sink straight down into the corner of the gold pan. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then once you think the gold is safe and secure into the bottom of the gold pan, you do what is called a bathing motion. So a wave will come in and out of the pan and carry the surface layer of rocks and dirt out of the gold pan. Once in a while, shake it up, make sure the gold is still safe there in the bottom. I see this big rock here and I'm worried it might drag some gold flakes with it. So I'm just gonna rinse it off and then throw that in the water. You may be wondering why I'm using a rusty old pan instead of a brand new one. And that's because brand new pans, they have a coating of oil on them. And oil is your worst enemy when it comes to placer gold mining, because placer gold mining works based on the fact that your gold's gonna sink. And if oil touches any of the smaller flakes or gold dust, there's a chance they could float instead and you'll lose them out of your gold pan. So in order to get rid of this coating of oil, the miners would toss their pan onto their campfire and let all of the oil burn off. And that was called bluing your pan, because it would make a blue flame. And that's also another reason why you don't really want to, you want to avoid touching the gold with your hands too, because the oil from your fingers could also make the gold float.
Because you couldn't, why couldn't you just picked out your gold from the apron?
You could have.
You're just making sure you get the smaller.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could have picked out the larger nuggets that you can see, but there's still a lot of other dirt in there, and gold's heavy, so it sinks down to the bottom, and then all of the dirt and sand covers it, so you don't actually know how much you have in there. You can see there's a lot of black sand too, so that's probably about the second heaviest thing that's in your pay dirt. And one way to separate the black sand from your gold is to use a magnet, because the black sand, it has iron in it, so it's magnetic, but the gold isn't. And there we go. Here's the gold.
Okay. You're gonna take off. Thanks. Thanks so much.
The liquid. And there are various ways that you can get rid of the impurities in the gold. One way is to use a flux, such as, we have one here, borax. You can use borax, and that gets the impurities. Well, gold is the heaviest thing, so it sinks down to the bottom. And then this helps you separate the impurities, so you can skim off the impurities from the top when it's melted. And another method is using a retort. So in the retort, you put gold and mercury together to make an amalgam, and then you'd heat that up until mercury is boiling point, because then the mercury will evaporate. And when the mercury evaporates, it takes a lot of the impurities with it. So a retort would do this, and it would have a pipe coming from the top of it. So it was a can, an iron can basically, with a lid on top, and the pipe would come off of the top, and all of the evaporated mercury would travel through this pipe, and there was a water jacket surrounding the pipe that would cool off the evaporated mercury, condense it back down into a liquid, and then that would drip into a bucket full of water, and then you're able to reuse the mercury that way. And John Gould, he does describe a different method that also uses mercury, but it's called the baked potato method. So you'd have your potato, you'd cut it in half, you'd scoop out the middle of it, put your gold and mercury amalgam into the middle of the potato, close the other half on top, wrap it in tin foil and wire, and toss that onto your campfire, let all of the mercury evaporate, and then you'd be left with your pure gold. But he does warn to never cook that in your house and to never eat the potato afterwards.
Mercury, yeah.
And actually in Bear Creek, it's warned that you shouldn't cut down the trees in that area because they have absorbed the mercury from the gold rush. So if you cut down the trees, then it's releasing the mercury back into the environment.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, so this is at 2002 degrees Fahrenheit now. So in here we have a graphite crucible, such as this one, at the front. So it's dark gray in color normally, but this one is going to be bright orange because it's very hot. So in the crucible we have the gold melting. Oh, I'm missing one thing. I need a pan full of water. So I'm gonna open up the electromelt, and then I'll pour the gold into this mold here. Then I'll dump this into the gold pan full of water. And within seconds, before I can even take off my gloves, the gold is gonna be cold to the touch. So we'll do that now.
It's dangerous.
That's a month's worth of work right there.
Yeah. There we go. Now we'll dump this into the water. And within seconds, it is cool to the touch. So there we go. That's our pour. So this is the top of the pour. So all of the impurities, they're lighter than the gold, so they float on the top, and then the gold sinks straight down to the bottom. So you can see the gold there, and I might be able to break off a piece. We'll see.
So then how do you separate the two? Yeah.
You can use a flex or a retort.
Okay, so you got to go back to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have now broken it in two, and you can see it is solid gold inside. So feel free to pass that around.